We all have those people in our lives, the ones that make us stress, the ones that make us go gray early, the ones that make you want to leave and go elsewhere. Nope, I'm not talking about in-laws. I'm talking about the ones who won't wash the dishes, don't give you personal space, the ones who put up a Christmas tree and never take it down, the ones who don't vacuum and certainly don't make their beds. Yep, I'm talking about roommates. Whether you love them or hate them, we all have them. So what better way to celebrate 2 years of being roommates than by going at one another? I'm Justin Ciavolella, joined alongside my roommate Josh Bartosik, and we're going to air our grievances towards each other at some point. But we're going to talk about some of our sports disagreements first and get there. But welcome back to Roommate Wars. We're probably not Nolan Collery and Michael Landis, but we're trying.
We try our best.
Let's get into our first argument. It's one that isn't really one that we probably have to worry about for a couple years, but who's making the Super Bowl first? Your Pittsburgh Steelers or my New York Giants?
Well, it's obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, look, the entire team is built except for having a quarterback. Meanwhile,
the most important position.
Oh, because the Giants have been so good at drafting and developing quarterbacks the last few years.
I never said they were good. When did I say the Giants were good at that?
Fair enough. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been led by Mason Rudolph at times. Or
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I do love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Great Christmas guy. Big team player.
Big team player.
Anyways, back to the point. What the Pittsburgh Steelers should do, they had a great draft just the other week. Just a few days ago, actually. They got an interior defensive lineman. That's what they needed. They got more defensive help. They got a little bit more help on the offensive side of the ball. That's what they need. They got to build up their offensive line. They've had a couple of draft picks the last few years that should hopefully help bolster that offensive line. They have a good running back duo. Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson should be good coming out of Iowa.
Should. Doing a lot of carrying there.
Well, a lot of the Pittsburgh Steelers right now are should, similar to the New York Giants. I mean, we'll find out in probably 7 years when both of us probably have full heads of gray hair because we've lived with each other for...
Well, we're done in a couple weeks. 3 weeks to be exact.
Whew. Anyways.
I agree.
But what the Steelers should do is just tank this year, get one of the good quarterbacks in next year's draft class, and they're good. They have good receivers. They have George Pickens and DK Metcalf. They've had one of the best defensive units in the NFL for the last 5 years. Now, granted, they're wasting TJ Watt's prime, but we don't need to get into that. But all they need to do is get a competent quarterback, and they're in a good spot.
So I'm just a little confused, and help me out here. We're talking about which team is going to make the Super Bowl sooner, and, well, you just told me the Steelers should tank another year?
You think the
Giants... And
Giants...
waste another year of a prime of TJ Watt and some of those other defensive guys? I'm a little confused there, Josh.
Well, because...
Enlighten me.
Sometimes what you have to do is tank for 1 year to get the piece you really need, and then you can go for an all-in push.
So a rookie quarterback's leading you to the Super Bowl in 2 years?
Jay Daniels led the Commanders to the NFC Championship game.
Is that the Super Bowl?
No.
It's the Commanders' Super Bowl.
And that's a Commanders team that has less pieces and is less talented than this Pittsburgh Steelers team, specifically on defense.
Do you know what spot they do have figured out right now? Quarterback, unlike your team. Speaking of a team that has quarterback probably not fully figured out, but definitely more figured out than the Steelers, it's the New York Giants.
They drafted one.
They have Russell Wilson, your old quarterback. Jameis Winston, who can throw for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. A lot of interceptions, too.
30 for 30.
But they also just drafted Jackson Dart, and I believe fully the Giants had one of, if not the best drafts this year. So we're not talking about the Giants needing to tank another year. That's the difference here. The Giants have the young pieces now. Malik Neighbors had a really good rookie year. He's only going to build on that. Abdul Carter, coming out of Penn State, was probably best available player in the draft, but team needs dictated other picks in front of him. So you have Abdul Carter on the defensive line, a defensive line that has already proved itself with Dexter Lawrence, with Brian Burns, with Kayvon Thibodeau, who's coming back even though there was thoughts that he might be traded. They just bolstered the secondary in free agency. Their linebacker corps, probably the one area on that defense that I would question right now. And it's still early in the offseason. There's still some time. There's still some guys out there in free agency, and trades can still happen. Plus, go more on the offensive side. Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton. Yeah, it's not, oh my goodness, all these great guys, but enlighten me on who the Steelers have in that wide receiving room.
DK Metcalf and George Pickens.
DK Metcalf, who's coming off, kind of just getting shipped out of Seattle because he wasn't as involved anymore. And George Pickens, who every Sunday in our living room, you would yell out saying, George Pickens, please get open. And he never did.
But now he can because he's not the wide receiver one. That's DK Metcalf's job. We're not going to talk about the fact that they're probably going to end up punching each other 15 times a week because the Pittsburgh Steelers are known for having diva wide receivers.
What realistic to you would be the timeline for the Steelers to win a Super Bowl?
I think in the next 5 years, genuinely.
In the next 5 years?
I think in the next 5 years. Because all they need to do is go, either they can sign a quarterback in free agency if they don't feel like they're going to find a guy next year. All they really need right now is a quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers, right?
Okay, no.
The savior of the Jets, now going to save the Steelers.
Because he did so well for the Jets.
Exactly.
I trust the Pittsburgh Steelers to mentor and produce a better quarterback than a Giants team that has not had a good quarterback since Eli Manning in his veteran days. And that's been almost 12 years.
I miss Eli Manning.
I think we all miss Eli Manning.
That kind of hurt right now.
I'm sorry.
To hit me in the heart like that.
I'm sorry. I should never mention for Tyrod Taylor.
No, but let's be real. You're giving the Steelers 5 years to be in a Super Bowl, to win a Super Bowl. I'd say it's about even with the young corps the Giants have right now. And the difference is they're so young. He's about to enter the decline of his career. The Giants guys are all going into that prime right where you need them to go to the Super Bowl. Let's be real. You and I are arguing here today. We're never actually going to decide anything. So let's just move on to our next one. New York Islanders, Carolina Hurricanes. Who has had worse playoff losses? I'll start. 2020, 2021. The Tampa Bay Lightnings, not once, but twice, got the best of the Islanders. And here's why the Islanders' losses hurt more. Because in 2020, in that COVID year, who did Tampa go on and play?
In 2020, that was the Stars.
Okay, so 2021, sorry.
The Montreal Canadiens.
Yes.
I'll give you that one.
All right.
I'll give you that one.
That was a sweep. The Islanders would have also won a cup. Their first cup since the 80s when they won 4 in a row, all their cups in franchise history. Their playoff losses have been worse. If they get through the Lightning in one of those 2 years, they have another cup right now. And their losses hurt more too. We just talked about the primes with the Giants and the Steelers. A lot of the Islanders were towards the back of their prime, about to go on the decline. You look right here at Matt Martin after that series against Tampa. Guess what? Matt Martin only declined from there to the point he's not going to be on the roster next year. Casey Cizikas is towards the back end of his career now. Cal Clutterbuck had to retire. You look at what the Islanders had, and they should have been able to pull off one of those wins and won a Stanley Cup because they had everything they needed. They had great goaltending with Varlamov, and at the time, Robin Leonard was around the Islanders. They've had consistent, good backup goaltending. That's what you need, especially this year. We're seeing that goalies are getting hurt left and right in the NHL playoffs.
You just had to.
Yeah, I did.
I had to.
But, I mean, the Islanders had the recipe to cook up a Stanley Cup, and that's why these losses hurt more. And then let's add to the point where, the long-term IR, where these guys for the Lightning, right?
Yeah.
They found the loophole, and I'm a guy that if you can find the loophole, good for you. But 2 years in a row, that some of their best players went on long-term IR, and what did that allow them to do? Go make trades. And these guys magically reappear come the playoffs. And I know a bunch of teams are doing it this year as well, but I'm just saying, the first team to do that was the Lightning, and who got hurt by it? The Islanders.
I agree with 2021. I think that is probably up there as one of the most soul-crushing losses in any franchise history. But the Hurricanes have more. Let's go back to the fact that they haven't won an Eastern Conference final game since 2009. You at least had the opportunity. You got the Game 7 in 2021. You got the Game 6 in 2020. Hurricanes haven't done that. They got swept the last time they were in the Eastern Conference Finals in 4 of the most heartbreaking games I think I've ever witnessed as a fan. 4 overtimes in Game 1, double overtime in Game 2, a 45-save shutout from Sergei Bobrovsky in Game 3. They looked like they're finally going to get the job done in Game 4. Matthew Tkachuk scores with 7 seconds left, and I will stand by this. Patrick Hornqvist was holding Freddie Anderson's stick. It should not have been a goal that counted. I'm still pissed about that. Go back, and then you go back to last year for Carolina, building off that Eastern Conference final run. They go out, they finally get the big fish. Jake Gensel, he does a fantastic job for Carolina, has the most points by any player post-trade deadline. What does Carolina do? Go down 3-0 in the second round to the New York Rangers, a team that just 2 years prior to this one lost on home ice in Game 7 for nothing. They didn't win a single game on the road that entire playoffs. What happens? They go down 3-0, 3-1, 3-2. They're up 3-1 going into the third period in Game 6. They completely choke. Chris Kreider gets a third period hat trick. Season's over. The entire team walks. They're gone. Not to mention that the Hurricanes, you talk about having good goaltending. Goaltending goes out the door for the Hurricanes when the playoffs come.
So that seems like roster mismanagement.
Well, not when they have a fantastic regular season and they just forget how to play hockey in the playoffs.
Fair.
Same with the Hurricanes' star player, Sebastian Aho, recently has been better, but until earlier today, Andrei Svechnikov had been invisible the last few seasons. Granted, he was hurt in the Eastern Conference final run. Seth Jarvis had been really the only guy that had been playing. Brett Burns looks like he's not 40, but 140. And you go back to some of these other losses too. The bubble for Carolina, they lost to the Boston Bruins in a year where they were a team that abused the LTIR that year. They got beat up. The year after that, losing to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round, and that weird.
All right. So I'm going to cut you off here. You're going a little long. We're talking about which losses are worse. is it worse to lose in the first or second round, or is it worse to lose in the conference finals in Game 7? That's where the Islanders have gotten
if you go to
consistently.
In the
2
last
years in a row, they were right there.
In the last few years for the Hurricanes, in the years where they were supposed to be the Cup favorite, they've been the Cup favorite back-to-back-to-back years, at least by betting odds. The Islanders are a team that was just kind of built on fairy dust and dreams and rainbows.
Which makes it harder to swallow the fact that they lose when this is one of the team feel-good stories. Look, I'm not trying to say that.
No, sure.
But at the end of it, I personally think the Islanders had the worst losses. I think, yes, the Hurricanes have more, but more doesn't necessarily mean it's worse. It just means that maybe you guys should switch something come playoff time. Hey, let's go to the NFL. Guy that had a lot of success in the playoffs. You think he's the go to the NFL, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, he has more Super Bowls than every other team in the NFL. Yep. Team sport, yeah, but when you go from...
How many cheating scandals?
Just the one. No, two.
The team as a whole. I'm not just talking Brady.
Okay.
You had Deflategate. You had the years prior with the Spygate. They've had so many more.
You're going to put all this blame on one guy? You just said it's a team sport.
No. I'm not blaming him for these. I am just saying he is a product of success that came from some of these.
I will admit that this is a Patriots team for the majority of that for at least a few of his Super Bowls was absolutely stacked. You go to the back half of those years, beat the Legion of Boom in the Seattle Seahawks. Granted, the defense
they bring the boom.
I don't want to get into that at all right now. That will make me go across this monitor and swing at you. I kind of forgot what the word was for a second.
Yep, I can tell.
But then he moves on to a team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And remind you, when he left New England, everyone said that was the end of Tom Brady. What does he do? First year, wins a Super Bowl. They give him his 7th, not to mention he is part of the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. He's a 5-time Super Bowl MVP, has been to multiple Pro Bowls, a multiple All-Pro selection, leads QBs in numerous statistical categories. And I'm sorry, if you have more Super Bowls, I understand it's a team sport, but the quarterback is the heart. We just talked about the quarterback being the heart and soul of a franchise just 5 minutes earlier. When you yourself as a quarterback have more Super Bowls than every other franchise, you kind of have to be the GOAT.
To be a quarterback, don't you have to make tough throws and not just throw it 15 yards and let everyone else do it? Check down after check down. Rob Gronkowski, go get those yards. Chris Hogan, go get those yards. Whatever of the 800 running backs you have for the Patriots, go get those yards. Well, anyway, I don't think he is. And I think there's that saying that defense wins championships. I think a lot of people are closed-minded when they think about the GOAT conversation. They only think about the quarterback position, and that's just not true. I guess it's quarterbacks and Jerry Rice is the normal conversation. But I go to a guy by the name of Lawrence Taylor, LT, 56 on the New York Giants.
A little bit of bias, maybe.
Hear me out, though. And I did some research into this, so I didn't seem biased. I wanted to know who the best player defensively is that ever played. They said Deion Sanders, great at cornerback. Yeah, but you know how easy it is to game plan around a cornerback? You just throw the other way. This was a guy you couldn't game plan around. Over 130 career sacks. By the way, his first season, he had about 10. They didn't count because sacks weren't a stat that was kept just yet. He had over 1,000 tackles in his career, had interceptions too. He was a game wrecker. That's exactly what he was. And I just think when we talk about the GOAT conversation, maybe I won't say straight up that he's the GOAT, but I really think the GOAT of the NFL comes on the defensive side of the ball. I think that's harder to game plan around. I think it's, they're more impactful, in my opinion. The defensive line, specifically here with LT, how much you couldn't really prepare for him. He was going to do anything any given day, any given Sunday is the saying, right? 13 season, averaged just about 10 sacks a season. I mean, he was a game wrecker, and I get it. Maybe he didn't have all the rings that Brady has, and maybe he can't throw a touchdown. But they do say defense wins Super Bowls, and hey, maybe I take back to this Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles shut down Patrick Mahomes in that, offense the entire time. The defense, now they had a good offensive performance as well, but Kansas City is usually an offense that can compete with that and put up those numbers, and they weren't able to because of the defensive side. Look, I know we're short on time, but that's my quick thing on that. Let's go to our actual argument here. Josh, you and I have differing opinions on how to wash dishes.
You swiped, but
I swiped and nothing came up. So hopefully we can get that dishwasher versus the dishes.
There we go.
So one of us.
Oh, that's new. It's a new photo.
Yeah, that actually came today. In fact, when we left our apartment, there was even more dishes than that. Look, I have these on the wrong side. You should be with the dishwasher. I should be with the dishes.
No.
You're a dishwasher guy. Why?
I am a dishwasher guy. It's more convenient. It's easier. And quite frankly,
You're lazy.
Yeah, okay, I'll admit that. Straight up, I'll look right at the camera. I'm a lazy son of a gun. God forbid. I don't like putting extra work. Work smarter, not harder. And quite frankly, putting dishes in the dishwasher and having it do it is smarter, and it's just better because our drying rack is not big enough for the amount of dishes that we have. Let's not get into the fact that, again, I'll also admit it, I haven't really done my dishes in
I was going to get there. I was going to get there.
You're going to get there, but I'll jump the gun a little bit.
Look, here's my thing. The dishes with this specific dishwasher in our apartment do not come out clean.
That's a fair
point. And half the times, you have to take it out of here and put it right back in here anyway to clean. And who's the one that cleans out of that? Me. So basically, you're not just lazy in terms of this being convenient. You're lazy in, oh, this still has some eggs or whatnot left on it. Let Justin do that in that sink.
Okay.
Look, they come out cleaner. And have you ever just thought about how peaceful it is to just sit there, maybe throw some headphones on, maybe just zone out, look out the balcony while you're doing dishes? Because that's why I really enjoy it. 20 minutes of my day wasted doing dishes is awesome. It's kind of a debrief. It feels good to do it, and you feel accomplished when you do it. You don't just load the dishwasher and then have Anthony Descher or myself, start the dishwasher the next morning, because that's what you normally do.
Okay.
You put stuff in.
Whoa.
You put stuff in,
Whoa.
and you press start maybe once every 8 days.
Yeah, because when I put one thing in, you don't start the dishwasher with one dish in there.
Yes, that's not what I'm getting at. But you do more than one, and it gets filled, and then we're playing Jenga, which, by the way, love to play, or Tetris, also love to play it, trying to fill it. And you could have, started them a day earlier, gotten them done, and we would have had clean dishes. But instead, I'm looking for a bowl to mix my eggs in or eat my ice cream out of. But no, Josh decided not to press start.
Because I want that to be completely full, because we've already talked about the fact that this is not exactly a high-class dishwasher.
Yeah, and the more you fill it, the less things are cleaned.
Yeah, okay, but I still fill it, and eventually I do end up doing the dish. I will go with this. I'm used to, back in my house, I always grew up as a dishwasher guy. I didn't hand wash dishes.
Is it a good dishwasher?
It's a great dishwasher. Okay. Shout out Sasha for a great dishwasher. Fantastic. It's one of the best. Now, when I am done cleaning the dishes, when I put them in the dishwasher, and when I take them out, I do check to make sure there's no residue on them. When I put away the dishes, there's no residue on them. I don't know if you're just not putting enough of the dishwashing detergent, the soap in there, because you're not used to it, or maybe you just forgot to put
I know how to run a dishwasher.
I'm not in there.
Well, I'm not too. I know how to do it.
Well, you are the only person realistically that does our dishes in the apartment anyway. So I mean, I
do them a lot, right? And
you do them a lot.
I couldn't tell you the last time you did.
I would like to point out that none of these are mine.
Yeah, you just got home today. I understand.
Hey, not mine.
Half of them are mine. Anyway, we're out of time here, Josh. I'm going to win that argument. Our audience clearly agrees with me.
Sorry, Mom.
And not you. But learn how to do your dishes. Josh, I do have to say, you've been a pretty good roommate. That being when you're not around or I'm dead asleep. It's been awesome. Oh, wait, you've also woken me up before. We won't get into that. Just once in consider. Anyway, that's going to do it for our time here on Roommate Wars. And in fact, Josh, that's going to do it for our time here at Penn State Sports Night. To everyone who has dealt with my bad dad jokes or Hurricanes talk from Josh, and to everyone who has spent their Monday nights in this studio and their late nights at Applebee's, we simply say thank you for making this a great time. For one final time on Penn State Sports Night, he's Josh Bartosik. I'm Justin Ciavolella. Have a day.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this and so much more, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X. For everyone here at Penn State Sports Night,
we are
Penn State Sports Night.